I'm 89, no glasses, no hearing aids, and this isn't luck. It's a 5-minute morning ritual I've followed every single day for over 30 years. Doctors say it's impossible. Friends think it's genetics. But I'm here to tell you, it's none of that. If you've been told your eyes and ears fade with age, wait until you hear what I've been doing before breakfast that's kept my senses sharp and my mind even sharper. But I refuse to accept that. Not because I was in denial, but because I stumbled upon something most people never hear about. A discovery that came not from doctors, but from a conversation with a retired Navy pilot I met in my 60s. He was 93. No hearing aid, no glasses, still flew his own plane. I asked him his secret. He laughed and said, "It's the first 5 minutes of every day that make the next 12 hours possible." And I never forgot that. That one sentence launched my obsession with morning neurostimulation routines, a fancy term for waking up your senses before the day dulls them. You see, the eyes and ears aren't just passive tools that slowly wear down. They're living extensions of your brain. And like any part of the brain, they can be trained, sharpened, and protected, even strengthened, if you know how. But here's what most people get wrong. They think they need supplements, glasses, or devices to maintain their senses. But in reality, what your body craves after 60 is stimulation. Not more meds, not more screen time, but oxygen-rich blood flow, targeted nerve activation, and inflammation control. And that's exactly what this routine does. The science behind it is surprisingly simple. As we age, our circulation slows, especially in tiny vessels that feed the inner ear and the retina. That sluggish flow starves these areas of nutrients and oxygen. Over time, that leads to damage, blurry vision, trouble hearing high tones, ringing in the ears. But the moment you activate deep breathing, cervical movement, and sensory re-engagement first thing in the morning, you flush those channels with fresh blood. You boost nitric oxide, you stimulate cranial nerves, and you reset your brain's sensory focus. Most people don't know this, but the vagus nerve, the one responsible for hearing, balance, and digestion, can be stimulated manually, by breath, by touch, and by vocal tone. That's what I do each morning. No gadgets, no stretching routines, just 5 minutes of gentle activation. Breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth, slowly turning my head from side to side, tracing objects with my eyes, gently massaging just behind the jawline near the ears, and humming low, resonant tones for 30 seconds. It sounds strange, but the results? Nothing short of miraculous. Within a month of starting this, I noticed sharper vision in low light. I could hear conversations more clearly in noisy rooms, and I wasn't straining to read labels or asking people to repeat themselves. Now, decades later, I still do it. Every morning. Rain or shine. And at 89, I read without glasses and hear perfectly in crowds. I even passed a hearing test last year without missing a tone. The truth is, this isn't magic. It's biology. And it's something any senior can begin today, without spending a dime. You've been told your decline is inevitable. But that's not the truth. Your body has an incredible ability to repair and adapt. It just needs the right input, the right rhythm. And it starts the moment you wake up. What happens in the first 5 minutes of your day can either sharpen your mind or fog it, strengthen your senses, or starve them. And now that you know that, what will you do tomorrow morning? Most people think the reason they're squinting to read or turning the TV up louder each year is simple. They're getting older. But what if I told you that age is only part of the story? That in most cases, what's really causing the blur, the ringing, the fuzzy sounds, isn't time. It's inactivity. The truth is, your eyes and ears aren't fading because of age alone. They're fading because they've stopped being challenged, stopped being cared for, stopped being stimulated the way they were when you were younger. Let me explain. Your eyes depend on two major things to stay sharp: oxygen-rich blood flow and active focus. And yet, for most seniors, both are missing. You wake up, grab your glasses, and look at the same 5 things all day long. Your plate, your phone, the couch, the TV, the remote. Your eyes never move far, never scan a horizon, never track motion, never challenge their flexibility. And slowly, that eye muscle, the ciliary muscle, weakens. Same goes for hearing. Your ears are constantly surrounded by passive sound, the hum of the fridge, the click of the clock, but very little targeted audio. Nothing that challenges your brain to distinguish voices in noisy environments. No ear-to-brain training. And worst of all, constant silence or monotone noise like television that offers no stimulation to your auditory processing. But here's the kicker. Scientists now know that the brain plays a much bigger role in vision and hearing than we ever thought. In fact, much of what we see and hear isn't happening in the eye or the ear. It's happening in the brain interpreting signals. And guess what? If your brain stops receiving clear, active input from those senses, it starts pruning the connections. It decides, oh, we're not using this anymore, and lets it fade. This is called neural atrophy. It's the same reason a muscle shrinks if you never use it. And it's happening to millions of seniors right now, without them realizing it. But here's the good news. You can reverse this. You can send a message to your brain every morning that says, hey, we're still using these eyes. These ears still matter. You just have to wake them up intentionally. And that's exactly what I've done for years. While most folks are reaching for their glasses before they even sit up, I spend 5 minutes sending visual and auditory signals to my brain, reminding it that I still need sharpness, still need clarity, still need focus. I look out the window and trace the outline of the trees. I blink rapidly to reset tear flow and eye tension. I close one eye at a time and switch back and forth to challenge my optic nerves. I cup my hands behind my ears and listen, not to music, but to layers of sound. The birds outside, the rustle of leaves, even the hum of the air vent. And when I hum, low, resonant tones that vibrate my chest, I'm not just warming up my voice. I'm activating the vagus nerve, which connects directly to the ear and balances your inner auditory system. Most seniors have no idea their senses are like muscles. And like any muscle, they don't need perfect genes. They need attention. Just like walking keeps your legs strong, using your eyes and ears with purpose keeps your senses alive. And here's what shocks most people. Your brain will begin responding almost immediately. Within days of starting this, you might notice sharper contrast, brighter colors, easier understanding of conversations, even in crowded places, a deeper calm when you speak, less ringing, less fog, and more connection with the world around you. Because clarity isn't just about vision or hearing, it's about engagement. When you sharpen your senses, you rejoin the world in a more vivid way. So don't let age write your story in blurry print and quiet whispers. You still have time. You still have tools. And it begins with a choice, tomorrow morning, to wake up your body before the day wears you down. Every morning, before the kettle boils, before I even check the weather, I begin. 5 quiet minutes. That's it. I don't stretch. I don't do yoga. I don't take a supplement or scroll my phone. I simply wake up my senses, with breath, motion, sound, and stillness. It begins with a breath, not rushed, not shallow. I breathe in deeply through my nose, hold it for just a second, and exhale slowly through my mouth. I do that 3, maybe 4 times. As I breathe, I picture my blood vessels opening like little garden hoses, carrying oxygen to my brain, to my ears, to my eyes. Next, I turn my head gently left to right. Not a stretch, just a soft, controlled movement, as if I'm scanning a calm horizon. I let my eyes follow the motion, not just my neck. This isn't about flexibility. It's about circulation. You've got arteries and nerves running up and down your neck like telephone wires. When you move gently, you clear the static. Then comes the focus drill. I hold my thumb out in front of me, arm's length, and I look at it. I slowly bring it closer to my nose, keeping my eyes fixed on it. Then I shift my gaze to something far in the distance, a tree, a doorframe, anything with depth. I repeat this a few times. What does that do? It reteaches the muscles around the lens of your eye to adapt, to stretch, to focus. It's like strength training, but for vision. After that, I close my eyes and simply listen. And I mean really listen. Not to what I think I should hear, but what I can hear. The hum of the heater, the birds, distant cars, my own breath. I try to count 5 different sounds. It trains the auditory cortex, sharpens my directional hearing, and builds sound discrimination, something we lose far too quickly as we age. Then, I place my fingers behind my ears, where the jaw hinges. I gently massage in small circles. This area is home to the auricular branch of the vagus nerve, a key player in hearing, digestion, and heart rate. I massage, then I hum. A low, vibrating hum like I'm singing to myself in a deep whisper. Why? That hum stimulates both the vagus and facial nerves. It brings a calm vibration into the skull, increases circulation, and even relieves pressure in the inner ear. I feel it resonate through my jaw, behind my eyes, through my cheekbones. It's gentle, but powerful. I finish with stillness. I sit quietly. I breathe. I blink a few times. I look around the room with gratitude. I don't grab my glasses. I don't rush. I just notice. The way the light hits the table, the sound of the clock, the feeling of being fully here. That's my 5-minute morning. And here's the thing. You don't need a perfect setup. You don't need special tools. You don't even need to get out of bed. You can do 90% of it right from your pillow. But the difference it makes? Remarkable. The fog lifts. The tension in my head melts. My eyes feel awake. My hearing becomes clearer. My balance improves. And I feel present. Not just alive, but alert. Some mornings, that 5 minutes is the most important thing I do all day, because it tells my body, you're not slowing down, you're waking up. And I believe that's why, at 89, I still read without glasses and hear whispers in a crowded cafe. I didn't win the genetic lottery. I built this routine from trial, error, and persistence. And if you take anything from this video, let it be this. It's not too late to start. Your senses are not gone. They're waiting, quietly, to be activated. It doesn't happen overnight. You don't wake up one morning and suddenly need reading glasses or turn up the volume so high that the neighbors can hear your favorite show. It starts slowly, quietly. One day, you mishear a word. You laugh at the wrong part of a joke. You squint in low light or need more time to adjust between rooms. You chalk it up to aging. But what if I told you, these aren't signs of age. They're signs of atrophy. Your brain, your eyes, your ears, they're like muscles. And like any muscle, when you stop using them intentionally, they begin to fade. The trouble is, most seniors unintentionally design their days around ease rather than engagement. TV replaces conversation. Glasses replace eye movement. Hearing aids replace active listening. Processed food replaces nutrients. Sitting replaces motion. And just like that, the senses that once made the world vivid begin to dim. Not from age, but from disuse. But here's what I want you to remember. The decline of vision and hearing in old age isn't inevitable. It's often engineered by routine. I've seen it firsthand. One of my closest friends, Paul, used to read books every week. His memory was sharp, his hearing better than mine. But when his wife passed, he started spending his mornings in silence. No reading, no conversation, no stimulation. The TV stayed on most of the day. He stopped going out as much, stopped scanning the room when he walked in, stopped noticing little sounds or faces in the background. And within 6 months, his clarity dropped. He didn't need a diagnosis. He needed stimulation. And that's what this 5-minute practice gives you. It resets the body's most neglected systems. Because your vision and hearing aren't just about your eyes and ears, they're about your attention, your posture, your breath, your circulation, your state of mind. Every time you skip that intentional start to your day, you hand your clarity over to these silent thieves: routine, passivity, stress, and neglect. And once they settle in, it gets harder to push them out. Your eyes begin to rely on artificial light. Your ears become overwhelmed by sudden noises. Your brain struggles to decode background sounds. Your posture begins to collapse forward, cutting off the very blood vessels feeding your senses. But this doesn't have to be your story. There's a beautiful truth most people never hear. The body doesn't need perfection to heal. It needs consistency. Even after decades of poor habits, the moment you begin treating your senses like they matter, they respond. Neuroscientists call it plasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire, repair, and reawaken dormant pathways. And it's not reserved for the young. It happens at 60, 70, 80, even 90. When you breathe deeply, your blood vessels dilate, your oxygen levels rise. When you trace objects with your eyes, you engage visual tracking. When you listen attentively to soft ambient sounds, you stimulate the auditory cortex. When you hum, you activate parasympathetic tone and increase blood flow to the brainstem. It all matters. And it all starts with a choice. Do I begin my day in silence and stiffness? Or do I wake up my body the way it was designed to be awakened? Gently, intentionally, with breath and movement. 5 minutes. That's all it takes. 5 minutes of sensory attention before the day gets noisy, before your thoughts get scattered, before the aches and to-dos crowd in. Because here's the truth I've learned after 89 years. The world doesn't grow dimmer because we age. It grows dimmer because we stop noticing. And you can reverse that. You can open your eyes wider. You can sharpen your hearing. You can engage with the richness of life again. But it starts in the first 5 minutes of the morning, and it starts with you. I never planned to become a spokesperson for aging with sharp senses. I didn't set out to be 89 without glasses or hearing aids. I just wanted to stay connected, to books, to music, to the voices I love most. I wanted to walk outside and hear the birds clearly, not muffled behind static. I wanted to read the fine print on a menu without fumbling for lenses. And now, all these years later, I realize just how rare that's become. Friends my age often say, "You're lucky." But luck had little to do with it. This was intention. This was consistency. This was choosing 5 minutes of quiet action over 5 decades of slow decline. And I've seen others do it too. Take my neighbor, Mary Ann. She's 84. For years, she struggled with ringing in her ears and had trouble following group conversations. She assumed it was just part of getting older. But when I shared my routine with her, she decided to try. At first, she said it felt silly, breathing slowly, turning her head, humming like a bee in the morning light. But then, something changed. After 2 weeks, she told me, I could actually hear the wind in the trees again. After a month, she could hear her granddaughter whisper a secret during dinner. No repeats needed, and her smile said everything. Because this isn't just about senses. It's about belonging. When you can hear the tone in someone's voice or read a handwritten card without help, it changes how you feel about yourself. It brings back a sense of self you thought was slipping away. And that's why this matters. Most people associate aging with loss. But what if you could age into more? More clarity, more confidence, more presence. What if every year didn't have to be a chapter of decline, but a season of refinement? When you start your morning with intention, it becomes easier to carry that clarity into the rest of the day. You walk taller. You catch details others miss. You hear punchlines. You notice textures. You savor flavors. And little by little, you feel alive again. Not just functioning, but engaged. That's what these 5 minutes can do. Because when you protect your senses, you protect your identity. You protect your freedom. You reduce the chance of accidents, isolation, and confusion. You stay in conversation. You stay behind the wheel. You stay present. And in case you're wondering if it's too late, it's not. Science has shown again and again that the brain remains adaptive well into your 90s. Blood vessels can regain flexibility. Nerve signals can sharpen. Balance can improve. Clarity can return. Not perfectly, but powerfully. You won't need to meditate for hours or live like a monk. You don't have to give up your favorite shows or move to a mountain. You simply begin with one quiet act of care. Right when you wake up. That act sends a message to your body. I still care. I still need these senses. I still want to be here fully. And that message, it gets heard. By your brain. By your cells. By the very blood that feeds your ears and eyes. That's why I've done it for 30 years. And that's why when people ask me how I'm still walking, reading, hearing, and smiling at 89, I don't point to luck. I point to 5 minutes. Every single morning. And if you're ready to join me, tomorrow's a great day to start. Here's the part they never tell you. The moment your vision fades doesn't come with a warning. The moment your hearing slips doesn't sound like anything at all. It arrives in silence, in the small spaces between what you meant to do and what you never got around to. That's how decline works. It doesn't crash into your life. It drips. But so does healing. One breath, one hum, one glance across the room with fresh eyes, one moment of stillness when you choose to wake up instead of just get up. And maybe that's the real secret. Not the 5 minutes, but what those 5 minutes represent. A decision to keep living on purpose, a refusal to fade, a quiet rebellion against the idea that age must mean loss. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off, don't reach for the remote. Don't grab your glasses. Don't rush to check your messages. Sit up. Breathe. Because the world you'll see and hear after just 5 minutes might not be the same world you left behind the night before. And if it is, you're not doing it wrong. You're just one morning away from it beginning to change.